I think a lot of us are drawn to portraits that have a strong variety in color, but are we just throwing colors at the canvas, or do we have a clear process for this? Hopefully in this video I can give you a mindset for painting with color. I want to start with this bust as an example. We can clearly see how there's a red light source that's shining down from the top left, and then a blue light source that's shining from the bottom right. I find it interesting that we already know that that's light and it's not actually the color of the statue. Color of the statue is probably gray or white, but it's the light that's determining the color. Let's take a look at this brow right in here. It's on the side of where the red light is. However, the plane is facing downwards. The red light can't touch it, but the blue light that's coming up can touch that plane because it's coming from below. So there's a consistent structure that's happening here. The red light is shining down and it hits planes on the top of things, and it also hits planes that are facing the left. The blue is basically doing the opposite. It's shining upwards, hitting the planes that are actually facing downwards, and also hitting planes that are facing the right. So the colors of the face are being determined by which direction the planes are facing, or more accurately, which direction the light is bouncing off of those planes and then entering your eyes. In a more subtle example, you can see some hits of orange in planes like these, planes that are facing downwards. And notice how a lot of these planes, they're kind of parallel to each other. The planes that are parallel to each other have similar colors. And that makes sense because it's all the same angle that the light is bouncing off of it. But planes that are facing slightly upwards, particularly ones that are a little bit darker, they seem to be getting a more blue hue, relatively speaking. So there's some continuity, there's some structure. If you want to study an artist who does this well, look no further than JC Leyendecker. These planes that are facing the right and slightly downwards, they're all getting this orange color. But then planes that are facing up and to the left are getting this nice blue. And in the planes that face us, we're seeing this purple, which harmonizes both together. And the man on the right, we can see the continuity of this similar yellow color on these right-facing planes. It's even in the nose, just a little bit. And there's even this blue color for these planes that are facing slightly down, even up in here. And these are things that I'm still learning myself. But if there's anything to take away, it's just how much the light is influencing the color. Now, I'm not going to lie to you and pretend that I have full understanding of all these things, but as I'm looking around, I'm trying to see if there's similarities to where the colors are, where they are, and if there's something common in all of them. Like these orange planes are all facing downwards a little bit, and these blue planes seem to all be more front-facing. But this helps me know where to put my colors, because if I started putting blue, say, down in here, it's going to start throwing everything off. So here's my process for this. First, I'm looking inside of all the shadows. I have a nice approximated value for all of my shadows, but then I might see some variations in color. I see more of a red in here. I see more of a green in here. I see more of a cool purple in here, some pink in here. I can just start with one of them, and then I can ask myself, where do I also see these colors? So with this green, I'm seeing this green in here. I also see it in here. I see it in here. I see it in here. I see it in here, even a little bit kind of in here, in here. So it seems to me, if I was going to draw this out, a lot of the greens are kind of front-facing planes. Some of them are going up, some of them are going down, but they're all generally facing the front. They're facing the viewer head-on. I also see these kind of rosier yellow colors in here, in here, in here. And as I'm looking for patterns, I find that they're all generally facing the right. It makes me wonder if there's a wall to the right side that's bouncing some of that light back into those planes. I'm also seeing some rich oranges in here. Now, why is it doing that? Why is it rich and orange in here? Well, both of these locations have a light on the right side, and the light is bouncing off of there and illuminating these shadows with these warm tones. So I hope you're beginning to see that a lot of the colors in someone's face is actually being determined by the light and not as much by their pigment as you might think. Even this slightly cooler purple section seems to be planes that are on the left side of her face that are facing downwards. All that to say, could you be painting and just put the colors where you see them? Yes, absolutely. But if you want to have a painting that's full of life and also believable and has form and dimensions, then it's really important to think about the planes and how the light is bouncing off of those planes and influencing their colors. If you like visual examples, one thing that might help you is to simply draw out some kind of geometrical structure for yourself. It doesn't need to be perfect, and this one certainly isn't going to be. So we can break this down by light and shadow, and I'm just going to start off with my approximated color and value for those flesh tones. I'm just thinking about where would the light be touching if it was interacting with these planes in the same lighting environment as my reference. Next, I'll drop in my light value. And I mentioned earlier how I was seeing green in planes that face the front. We also had these slightly brighter tones for planes that face the right. I saw some of those cool purples that were facing downwards, and I'm not really confident about assigning a specific color for any of these planes, but if this plane was cast in shadow, as it is on one side of her face, then maybe I could give it this slightly rosier color, because in this situation the light is kind of going through the hair and illuminating these pinks in here. So it's not a perfect solution, and it's a gross oversimplification of all of the subtleties and nuance in a face, so don't rely on this too heavily. That just might help you think a little bit three-dimensionally, and it might open up some pathways to explore some styles without feeling like you're just throwing paint at the canvas. You can actively make decisions based on how the light is interacting with the planes. I hope this was helpful, and if you have any questions, just reach out in the comments. Happy painting, everyone.